In a previous video, I said that all we're doing in a solo is superimposing different notes over the chords. And certain notes will give us, for example, a bluesy sound. I'll put a link to that just there. But if that's all that's happening, surely it doesn't matter which notes we play. Surely any note can be justified as having a certain sound against the chord. Does it really matter which notes we play? And does that mean there are no wrong notes? There are some notes that are always going to sound good, and then there are some notes that are usually going to be wrong. It is personal taste, but then in the middle there's a massive grey area of notes that might sound good depending on the context and how you use them. For example, chord tones, the notes of the chords themselves, are always going to be right. They're always going to match the chord because you're actually taking the notes of the chord to play next to the chord, so they're not going to clash. So let's look at some examples. In the backing track that we've been using throughout this series, we've got 3 power chords: the E5, the A5 and the B5. If we play major arpeggios over this, we can get a major key and a major progression. We can also do the same thing with minor arpeggios and flatten the third for each one of those shapes. Okay, so we can use the notes from the chord themselves to solo with. But are these the only notes we can use? Surely all the other notes, by definition, are not going to fit the chord because they're not in the chord. To answer this, let's look at a basic chord. You've got the root, the third and the fifth. And in an E major chord, we've got E, G sharp and B. Now if we extend that to be an E major 7, we have E, G sharp, B and D sharp. This contains within it G sharp, B and D, which is actually a G sharp minor chord. You can do this to the other chords as well, where in the A, C sharp, E and G sharp becomes a C sharp minor, and the B, D sharp, F sharp, A sharp becomes a D sharp minor. So this gives us one more note to use in each chord. Can we go even further than that? If we follow this pattern even further, we go 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and we get an F sharp over the E major 7 chord. This becomes an E major 9. Right, so does that mean we could just continue forever putting more and more notes onto the chord? No, because once you get to 13, which over the E is a C, the pattern repeats because after C we have E. So you can't do this forever, and the further away you get from the original notes, the weirder and probably jazzier it's going to sound. So what you're saying is we're just superimposing notes over the chords. So does this mean we could just play any note and it will work? Kinda, but if you use the chord tones themselves as kind of a framework and then base your solos off of those, you're still following the chords and your solo isn't going to sound just like a random mash of notes. So we can use the chord tones, whichever chords you decide to play over the chord, and fill in the gaps with your own ideas. If you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with all your friends. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I suggest you subscribe for more videos like these. You can also go to my website, chainsawguitartuition.net, for a free download ebook that's all about practice routine and how to get your practice routine set and to practice useful things. So that is on my website. And until then, turn up and rock out. So a mode is like a scale, but starting from a different scale. Whoa, not this again. What? This whole modes thing, we've gone over it before. One guy says this, another guy says that, another person says they're only used by monks, only used in jazz, not for beginners. Okay, I have done a video on modes already, that's fair enough. But let's just say, here's a backing track, and here here are some notes you can use to solo over it with.